folks, and welcome to the MCM studios for another exciting edition of Speaking Spartan, the Marian Catholic Coaches Show. We're joined today by head varsity tennis coach Scott Bodner. Coach, good to have you here on the show.
Thanks, Mike. Glad to be here.
For those of us who are not familiar with you, can you give us a little information about yourself?
I've been I'm both the boys and the girls coach here at Marian. I started with the girls in 1995 as the freshman sophomore coach. I worked under Jody Hacker, who was the varsity coach. Great person to work with, learned a lot from her. When she retired, I took over the girls in about 2005 and been the head varsity coach since then.
As far as the coaching goes, did you play tennis as a youngster yourself?
I played in high school and I played extracurriculars in college. And when I came to Marian, I became an assistant coach for the boys under John Perkovich, and I've been involved with it ever since.
Let's talk a little bit about your practice schedules. I know there's a lot of activities that our students are involved with around the school. So when you have our tennis team practice, what's the general practice schedule for our team?
Pretty much we go after school, right after school, until about 4:45 each day. When we're not practicing, we usually have a meet or a tournament. We have 20 dates, so we're playing a lot, especially early on in the fall because of weather. But pretty much it's practice one day, probably we're playing the next day.
Do you have a good team this year? I mean, not a big team. I know a lot of times that it's hard to get kids come out for tennis. It's not, one of the major, considered to be one of the major sports at the high school level. How's the team looking size-wise?
One of the troubles with tennis, I guess, is there's no real feeder system like in other sports. So we do a lot of in-house recruiting to get kids who may not have thought about playing a sport to come out. This year the numbers are up compared to the last 3 years, so we're up to 29 girls. That's up from about 22 from last year, which is a good number. We did get some players who are playing USTA right now that are freshmen, so the young group that came in this year is a good size group and actually has experience. After that, we're basically, we don't really have a lot of USTA players, so they're average players. Mm-hmm. But great group of girls. They're consistent, they show up, they're cooperative, and they've been getting better.
All right, Coach, we'll be back right after this message. Hey folks, welcome back. Coach, the ESCC, is it a tough conference to play tennis in?
For tennis, it's extremely tough. The ESCC is one of the premier conferences in the state. For example, last year we went to 1A, 2A for the first time in history of tennis. And the first and second place 1A teams were both ESCC teams. And then we had a couple finish in the top 10 at 2A, the few that are there. So it's very strong, especially for the girls tennis conference. So it's great competition. Coming to Marian means that you will see very good competition, especially through the ESCC. Or locally, when we play locally, that's our sectional setup. Because the sectional, which by the way Marian has hosted last year and will be hosting the girls sectional once again. We've often been the sectional site for the IHSA, so we look forward to doing that. But that's more of the local area, whereas the ESCC really gives us a great competition throughout the Chicago area.
Coach, you've been here a long time. How many great tennis players have you put out from our system?
Well, thanks for, I'm not sure I put them out, but I've been fortunate to work with some really good players. One not too long ago, Gabby Rosales, she finished as high as 6th in the state in the one-class system about 5 years ago, and she's now playing at the University of Richmond in Virginia under athletic and academic scholarship. So even recently, we've had some really good players here at Marian that are great alums, and not only was she a great player, but she was a great student and a great person.
Coach, we don't want to give the impression that you're a one-man show out there. Who's helping you out on the courts?
Yeah, that's a great point. I call it the triumvirate of Marian tennis. Besides myself, we have Coach Murphy Liang. He started with me with the boys in 2002. and also for a year was the varsity girls and boys coach. And also we have Coach Beckvar, Scott Beckvar, who works with the Frosh Soft. So we have a lot of years of experience and talent to help out with the girls, and those guys do a great job, and it's great working with them.
That's great. Now, as far as getting some people out, we're going to put up on the screen right now the home dates that are coming up. How important is it for our athletes to have help, to have people out there to watch them?
Yeah, I think they enjoy when their classmates or teachers and parents and friends come out to feel that support. This is different than other sports because it's outside and they're all spread out. But they do notice, and they do feel that they're important or significant just like the other sports.
I agree. I've been out to a couple matches this year, and the crowd, they really seem to fire up a little bit more when their teammates, as well as anyone else who comes along and watches. I think that's really great to have them out there. All our sports really need as many people out to help, and tennis especially. We have some great courts out there and some great kids playing tennis. Coach, I'd like to thank you for being here on the show. We'll look to have you back again when the boys' season ramps up. And everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Speaking Spartan, the Marian Catholic Coaches Show.